services look after us, and in front of us are the members who are going to be making the decisions today. So item 1 is to note substitutes in accordance with Council Procedure Rule 4, substitutes of meetings, etc. Councillor Bates, welcome to our committee. Item 2 is to receive apologies from absence, and that's Councillor Wood. Item 3, to receive declarations of interest from members in respect of any item on the agenda.
Yes, Chair, I would like to make...
Right hand, what?
Yes, sorry, yeah. So, yeah, I'd like to make a declaration. As a member of Heversham Town Council, I sat as a chair on item 6 and 9. So, if I may abstain from this meeting, if I may, please.
When we get to that, if you would like to take a seat at the back.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Just to say that I'm the ward councillor for item 8 on the agenda, but that's just to say
I should go to you first. Thank you. Anybody else? No? Thank you. Right. Item 4, to be agreed by general affirmation the minutes of our last meeting we had on the 9th of July. Is that okay? Agreed. I will sign them. Thank you. Item 5 is to consider any items that the chairman agrees to take as urgent business. I have none. So we're now to the substantial part of our meeting. Item 6, which is DM 252884, land adjacent to 48 Wickham Way, Haywards Heath. Steve.
Thank you, Chairman. So this is an application for the erection of one single dwelling consisting of 4 bedrooms on land to the north of 48 Wickham Way. So the application site is outlined in red here. You can see Wickham Way to the east, and then to the west, as set out in the report, is the main London to Brighton Railway. In terms of the site layout, you can see the existing property here at number 48. The new dwelling will be immediately to the north, will be a similar size to the existing dwelling at number 48, consisting of 4 bedrooms, access to the front with parking at the front to serve the new property, and residential garden space to the rear. In terms of the elevations, 2-storey dwelling, there will be solar panels to the roof and on the south elevation and west elevation. Single-storey rear addition at the back of the new dwelling. You may have picked up in the report that there will be some, it's proposed some black standing seam metal cladding to the walls. So this is essentially this area here to the front round this dormer here, and to the front here, and then obviously on the back of the dwelling for the single-storey element and the dormers. So again, just the floor plans, you can see 4 bedrooms at the first floor, large kitchen area, dining room at the ground floor, and snug and study at the front of the dwelling. Existing photos, so this is the existing property at number 48. You can see access is taken for where the proposed one will be for the new dwelling, and currently allows for parking for the existing dwelling. You'll note these 2 trees at the front here, as set out in the report. They will be removed as a result of the proposal, but there are planting replacements as part of a general landscaping scheme for the site. You've got a comprehensive report in front of you. The application site is within the built-up area, so the principle of development is acceptable. You can see that in general terms, the application complies with the development plan, although it is noted that as a result of the development, there will be some conflict in terms of the amount of parking spaces available for the existing property at number 48. And as we set out, that will be deficient by two vehicles. However, there is no objection from the local highways authority, and we're satisfied that any overflow can be accommodated on the road without causing any highway safety issues. This is classed as a self-build unit. So again, as we set out in the report, that there is a requirement on the council to build and allocate sites for self-build. It is a material consideration and determination of the application, and one that should be given a positive weight in the overall planning balance. So quickly turning to that balance, as we know, as we can't currently demonstrate a 5-year housing land supply, the tilted balance in this scenario does apply. So we have the benefits set out for you within the conclusion at para 13.6. Also highlight the neutral impacts and the harms. The only harm identified here being the issues with the lack of parking for the existing property. When weighing all that together, then it's your office's view that the adverse impacts do not significantly and demonstrably outweigh the benefits, and in such a scenario, Chairman, it's recommended that the planning balance points to an approval being granted. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Steve. We don't have any public speakers for this item, but members may be aware that we have had quite a significant number of emails. It was suggested by the planning officer that the people who wish to object or support write to us, which they have. It's their right to do so. So I'm going to go to Councillor Kenny, because you're the only member here from Haywards Heath. Oh, sorry, I do apologise, Councillor Bates. I'll go to Councillor Kenny first, unless you don't want to say anything.
Yes, I do. But I'll start off with a question. In the documentation, one of the representations suggested that the applicant didn't own the land that constituted the access from the road. Do you have any information about that, Steve? Can you tell us, is that a true assertion, or maybe it's not? It could be quite significant. The reason, what's behind it is that the applicant has expanded their property footprint previously by getting some land from which is now being used for this extension. So, question, Steve.
Yes, please.
Ultimately, it's not a material consideration for the planning committee. Issues of land ownership are not planning matters. Ultimately, it's a legal matter, and if permission is granted, if they don't own all of the land, that may prevent the implementation of a planning permission, but it should not factor into your decision today. And the information that I'm just having a look in terms of the information that's been submitted with the application. As he puts his glasses on to have a quick look. The implication that the information that we have to take on face value is that the applicant owns the land, all the land within the red line.
You have to assume that.
We have to take that on face value.
In a similar vein, Southern Water effectively said nothing to do with us, Gov, and stood back from it. So because they don't serve that area, and it was left to there will have to be applications for connection to any services, as I understand it. So they have not given any assessments, as far as I'm aware, about serving the area, or the matters of drainage in detail. Am I correct in that understanding? I think they just stood back. That's the way I understood the documents. Again, the question is that right? I might have misinterpreted.
We've got a condition for drainage.
So yeah, there's certainly there's no objection from any consultee in relation to drainage. Condition 6 sets out that in terms of deals with drainage matters, which basically requires details to be submitted and approved prior to the commencement of development in terms of foul and surface water drainage.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at. If we were looking at a normal planning application, we would expect those matters to have been sorted, wouldn't we? But I think, is it true that in this case we're saying, well, whether or not the drainage and the service, that can be sorted later? Normally it would be the other way around, wouldn't it?
No, so it's common practice. So at the application stage, so we need to be satisfied in principle, the site can be drained. So in principle, can the site be drained? Yes, there's no objection. Do we have the full details of that final drainage scheme? No, we don't, hence why we have the condition. And that is not an uncommon, that is generally the common approach you will find. At an application stage, we just need to be satisfied in principle it can be drained, and we can reserve the matters of the detail by condition, which is what we do as on virtually every planning permission of this type of nature.
Okay, because one of the points was the land, and it's going to be, in a moment, that'll be my final question, but the road, I think, is a private road.
It is a private road.
So that when the applicant makes an application to get access to the sewer on the other side of the road, one of the submissions was, well, that may or may not happen. But it comes to my last question, and I will stop after this, is that West Sussex County Council has said, as far as they're concerned, there's no issue about the parking. Do they have a voice in a private road? Is that their matter?
Not really.
I don't think it is their matter at all.
They have no jurisdiction. It's not an adopted road.
The reason I asked the question is that when I went to view the area on a lovely summer's evening, it was being used as a footpath, and a mother with two very small toddlers were walking down the road to meet husband coming from the station. It was being used as a footpath, which is a point that one of the, I'm mentioning it, is one of the points that was made by people. It's all very well to say more cars can go there, but this private road is both a footpath and a road. So just...
It's not meant to have a through traffic perceived, because there was a way that people could come down the Hayward-Heath Road, or Balcombe Road as you call it, turn a left and miss out going past the back end of Sainsbury's and come down Wickham Way.
Yeah, it's not a route to anywhere.
It's not. To be perfectly honest, I know the road very well. It is a very, very quiet road.
Exactly.
Very quiet.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah. All right, so those are just the questions of clarification that I had. At the moment, I've got a feeling, and I'll listen to the rest of the evidence, that it feels to me slightly out of keeping and potential overdevelopment on that particular road.
On the road, or
factoring issues like the trees going and stuff like that. But that's my feeling. I'm very happy to listen to other submissions.
The fact that they are maintained because of the electrical stuff going through. Before I go to you, Councillor Henwood, about the trees, I know you mentioned them in a second. Mr. Ashdown did actually mention the trees, but we can see there is the high tension wires going through, and they're not significantly important because they have been butchered somewhat to make sure that they don't affect the cabling going through. It happens a lot in the villages, believe me. It does happen a lot. Councillor Henwood, go to you, then I'll go to Councillor.
Sorry, I actually just have a question for some information. On page 27, 12.81, it says biodiversity net gain is not required. Is this related to how many? Like, could you build 10 self-builds and not have any necessity for biodiversity net gain? What is the restriction on this, please?
So, yeah, at this minute in time, so in terms of this application, there is an exemption for self-build dwellings. That exemption no longer exists as of the 6th of August, but because this application came in before then, the exemption still applies, so that's why it is exempt. It doesn't require B&G. Going forward, from now on, then it comes down to the size of the site where the B&G would be required. So the self-build exemption's gone, but it's still relevant to here because
predates.
I think you would like this one, because if you read the representation from the applicant, it's got a 10,000 litre grey water tank going in. You like that sort of thing. Councillor Bates.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was going to start on another point, but coming back to colleague there about the road, the use of the road. There's no footpath because it's a private road. I live next to one similar, and there's no problem there. In fact, I use that road quite often for running up and down. A lot of people do. So it's a private road, as you say. The only thing, I did go there and have a look. The question about the trees have been answered, but I was concerned about, there didn't seem any proposal to do anything about shifting the parking from the empty site onto number 48. And it's pretty obvious looking at the map here that we've got, this is a vacant site. It's not overdevelopment, etc. So I think that it can be developed. My only real concern or interest, and it has been mentioned by others, is why we got this metal cladding on the surface of the building. Can we have, what is it? Can it be explained? I mean, it's out of character with the buildings in that road. I think they're a Turner, basically predominantly a Turner style development. So you would have thought perhaps somebody could have kept the new building better in keeping, and admittedly it's got the panels on the roof, which is going to change, but anybody can do that. So, you know, really my biggest concern is why we've got to have this metal cladding. It does sort of stand out as being out of keeping.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a question that I raised on my our meeting on Monday. If you want to switch your, it's not a conservation area. It's not a townscape area. So therefore, hasn't got a defined area of what type of housing goes on that road. So in theory, they could be all totally different because it doesn't have to have uniformity. It's a question I was asked, and I was given the answer, which I 100% accept. This is what people want now, and there's no reason to turn it down on that. That's why it's been recommended for approval. I visited the site, and it looks like a plot. It's a double plot, and that's where I don't have a problem with a house going on there. So, Councillor DeVelle.
I think you've answered my question, actually.
Oh, sorry, were you, oh, sorry, I do, ladies first, Councillor Cherry,
I
sorry.
defer to the lady.
Sorry.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, I visited the site on Monday, and it was fortunate that Mr. Dowds was in the front garden when I was there. I have to say I was very pleasantly surprised, but actually by the amount of land that there is in front of the two properties, and Mr. Dowds has showed me around the plot, and he did say that the house he's currently living in, number 4 to 48, they're intending on actually extending that drive so that it will accommodate 3 cars. That's number 4 to 48. It's just the removal of a bit of laurel hedge, and I could see it was quite straightforward to do that. And then with the new house, there'll be ample parking for another 3 cars. And in fact, he said that if we're having guests, you could actually fit another 2 cars going the other way in front of the 3 cars that are parked up. And he said that there was going to be absolutely no intention of parking any cars on the roadside, and he was quite adamant about that. So I was quite reassured about that. I was very interested in the sustainability of the property as well. The rainwater harvesting system. Wow, I mean, to be honest, in the future, I think all developers need to be looking at that, obviously with the current situation that we're in at the moment, harvesting rainwater and, for grey water use, WC flushing. So it's all very innovative, I found it, and triple glazing on the windows. I was slightly worried, slightly trying to envisage what this cladding is going to look like, but I had a look at a lot of the other houses, and they're all, say, similar sort of Turner houses, and they've got hipped roofs, which this new house is going to have a hipped roof. It's going to be using the same bricks, the same tiles on the roof. And a lot of the houses, they do have different frontages. Some are brick, some are tiled. There was a sort of sandstone one. There's one with wood cladding on it. So I think you know, the area could cope with a bit of metal cladding as well. I thought I was.
It will dull down.
Yeah, yeah. Obviously, always a bit sad when two trees have got to come down. But the two trees at the front, but they are very, very big. And the tree officer apparently said that they're not very well, and she envisages that they'll be dead within 10 years. And he is going to be using natural trees, British trees and beech trees, and they're going to be quite mature. They're not going to be just little sticks. So overall, I was quite happy with it, Chairman.
I didn't, he wasn't there when I visited, but I read his letter yesterday that we were emailed. I was absolutely surprised how much sustainability stuff that he's putting in there. And I looked at the trees and I didn't think they were anything special. No. Now, Councillor De Pau.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Councillor Cherry, because I think pretty much it's all been answered. But I just wanted a little bit of clarification, just from my own visuality. If you look at the photographs again, if we may, what we're actually saying is that house that's already there, there's going to be another one tucked alongside it, and it will get rid of the tree that's sort of poking up there, yeah? And there is plenty of room for that to be done.
Yeah.
I think
that's
that's pretty...
the electrical cable which serves the whole of the road going through the tree.
Yeah.
It's the fact there's a big hole in the tree, as you can see.
Well, I'd imagine that be very lucky if that tree's still there much longer with all this heat that's going on. So it does seem rather a shame, because it looks a nice place, but that's purely from my point of view. I think there's always a little bit of danger when you start reshuffling and putting things alongside, but that, hey-ho, it's legal, and it looks as though it will be done to effectively, so fair enough.
It's a double plot, basically. It is a double plot.
Bless you.
Councillor Henwood,
I have another question.
please.
All these sustainability suggestions, air source heat pump, solar panels, water harvesting, is there any way when this is actually built that those procedures are verified, or can the gentleman proceed without doing any of the sustainability suggestions? That is my question.
That's one for Mr Ashdown to answer. Is that conditioned?
So there's a condition about the air source heat pump being installed in accordance with the submitted details. So there's a condition in relation to that. In terms of the other measures, then I'm just having a look. You know, they're obviously, you know, they are things that the applicant is proposing. This isn't a housing, you know, a large-scale housing builder who will put in a sustainability assessment that covers literally every conceivable scheme and a range of things. You know, clearly this is a well-designed, well-thought-through proposal where, you know, they've looked at air source heat pumps, you've got the solar panels, they're all included within the application details shown on the drawings. You know, there is no reason why they wouldn't do it. They're proposing them. It's not something that we're asking them to do. And in terms of, again, our policy requirements, we can't require them to do them. But they're obviously, in terms of the air source heat pump, the solar panels, they're all shown on the drawings. The air source heat pump is a planning condition. So I think we've gone as far as we can do. But, you know, clearly the applicant has in mind that that he would want to do the whole full range, because there'd be no reason to suggest them in the application otherwise, Chairman.
Yeah. It's in his interest to build what he's said he's going to build. I know we are sceptical sometimes, but
It's trust.
it is trust. But you've got to trust some people. If he's going to build it and he's going to market it, he's going to market to his best ability, isn't he? Councillor Kennedy.
Yeah, I think it's quite an important point, because if we go and visit a site and we hear something about what we're going to be doing and how good it's going to be and all the other positive things in terms of the environment, it would be good to know that they're actually going to happen.
Yeah.
I visited the site actually about 3/4 of an hour ago, and yeah, as you said, it seems to be an extra plot. But the rest of the houses in the road are all built in the probably 40s and 50s. Not the same designs, they're all different designs, but they're of a type. And this is something quite different, which I must admit I wasn't too keen on. But having seen the design, the cladding I don't think is something we can worry about. It's going to be a house of the 2020s. We are where we are with the tilted balance. It's good to hear about all the environmental things being done, particularly the water saving. Car parking, I think, will be resolved. It's a shame the trees are going, but they're going to be replaced, perhaps not by something quite as large just yet, but they aren't spectacularly attractive trees, I must admit. So I'm fairly supportive of the application.
Okay, I've got no other people wishing to speak. Can I have a proposer, please? I'll propose. And a seconder, Councillor Cherry. So we have a proposer and a seconder. So if you support it, it's green, red if you don't, and yellow if you are going to abstain. That is unanimous. Thank you very much. That has been approved. Oh, hang on a second. No, we now know who voted against it. Okay, it's 10 for and 1 against. Thank you. That has been approved. Thank you. Councillor Basher, do you wish to now come back into the...
Need Andy to...
Oh, yeah. Alfred, could you grab Andrew Horrell to make sure that he is coming, please? If he comes through the door, we know he is. Cheers. He is coming. Are you all ready to go? Yeah. Right, this is item 7 on the agenda. It's DM 260207. This is Woodman's Copthorne Common. Copthorne, Andrew.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, so this, currently there was an approved and installed holiday let cabins from 2023. There's 3 of them. There's parking to the rear, as you'll see in the photos later on. They want to combine 2 of them by infilling them and creating a dwelling with the 3rd cabin on the right-hand side, as we can see it, being changed to a gym. The site is off a public footpath off Copthorne Common Way and can be accessed, primarily by car, but you can walk in. So somewhat crude drawings, but as you can see, it's going to remain the same design as the existing. There is visuals later on. to combine them, and with no side windows, it's just front and back. As you can see here from the floor, the outlines, it's going to turn into a 3-bedroom unit as shown here. There's currently, the 3 individuals are just a single dwelling, so effectively it's the same, number of bedroom spaces. That's the visualisation that they're proposing with the green roof. So here's the photos here. So as you can see, it's accessed so effectively when you get to the driveway of Mulberry House, it siphons off down to the cabins for the holiday lets. As you can see there, there's parking to the rear for, as it stands, each individual unit. So effectively, the design of the proposed unit, once it's combined, would look exactly the same as the existing. The Highways Authority, under the previous application, stated they had no objection to the proposal. Given the nature of the site, BNG obviously will be a part of it and will be conditions accordingly. Drainage is acceptable. Sustainability measures have been outlined and they're acceptable. Whilst it is, as I said, it's outside the built-up area of Copthorne, of course, but as with the previous application that was discussed, obviously there needs to be a balance in terms of determining whether a new dwelling is suitable in this site. And whilst it is in an unsustainable location, it was felt given the level of traffic would be relatively unchanged from obviously the 3 individual units. So it was deemed that which was the main detraction, as it were, of the scheme was deemed neutralised. The benefits are obviously a new dwelling for our 5-year housing land supply, the economic, construction, employment, social benefits obviously of a permanent dwelling in Copthorne. And so yes, effectively on using this weighing up, it was deemed acceptable and is recommended for approval subject to the various conditions set up in listed in Appendix A. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. We have no speakers. I know you've indicated you wish to speak first, Councillor Bates, but traditionally I go to the ward councillor.
Yeah, that's fine.
So Councillor Casella, do you have any problems with this? Okay, you go first then. He's deferring to yourself.
My only comment, Mr. Chairman, is the fact that I presume they're going to remove or demolish 2 of the units and replace it with a substantial new residential unit. And I know it crosses...
No.
So the question is, what is the standard of the building, particularly in insulation standard? Is there any control over that?
It's got 3 cabins and they've been used for the last couple of years.
Yeah, I appreciate that, but I don't know what sort of standard of building it is now and what it will be in the future. Does it meet all the requirements of particularly insulation standards?
Well, that's a matter for building regulations. It's not a matter for us under planning. So, they'll need to make sure they meet the appropriate regulations that they require under building regulations. But this is an infill between 2 existing buildings that are there.
They look quite substantial when I went down and visited it, I must admit. But I didn't obviously go inside the buildings. Do you wish to now Councillor Casella?
Indeed, only to say, as such, I don't have any objections to it. It's in the middle of nowhere, in all honesty.
Very true.
The amount of traffic is going to be negligible. How much of the building of the 3 units was a Trojan horse to get the 1 unit is another question. But, and I would think, in all honesty, it's going to be used for family anyway, because you'd never be able to sell it as a house.
No. It was a question that sprung to my mind at our talk through on Monday.
Yeah.
How long ago did they get permission? But apparently they have provided.
Yes, they've, so
Financials?
it's been a holiday let continually since, I think it was,
23, wasn't it?
yeah, February 23, something like that, yes. I can't remember the precise date.
In fact, they could still use it as a holiday let. It's just going to be 1 unit rather than 2
Could
small
do,
ones.
yeah.
Yeah. So we'll have a multi-function.
Well, actually, there's only 1 bedroom in each one of them, isn't there?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That could actually be a reason why they want to do it. It would make it a more attractive rental.
Could do. Yeah. Councillor Kennedy?
Thank you, Chair. I looked at this and I didn't think this was very impressive. Yes, it's 3 cabins going to be converted into 1, or 2 of them are going to be joined together. But it's not a great, it doesn't look great. It doesn't look as if it's something that we should be proud of approving, I think, in design terms. It's not something that is particularly attractive as a domestic dwelling. I know that perhaps doesn't come into it, but I think we need to look at design sometimes, and it really hasn't ticked all the boxes as far as it could have done, I think. Anyway,
I think
I can see why it should be approved, the housing balance and so on and so forth, but that's just an aside comment.
I would think that, as Councillor Casella said, they probably make more money having it 3 bedrooms as opposed to 3 one-bedrooms in hiring it out. But that's the application we have in front of us at this point in time. You're right, it's not awe-inspiring, is it? Councillor Henwood.
Oh, yes, I have a question. On page 50, 12.71, I wonder how you can actually incorporate both photovoltaic panels and a green roof. Would somebody explain to me that in this design, how that's going to happen?
Could be freestanding. Is it freestanding?
Well, I'm just curious. That's what I would like to know. Thank you.
I mean, within their sustainability report, they outlined, obviously, both measures. As you say, it wasn't, or it isn't indicated on the drawings, albeit, obviously, as I've said, they are somewhat crude in the planning drawings. Obviously, the visuals are slightly different. But no, it does appear that the green roof only, and there are no solar panels, but, you know, this...
Thank you. So, Chairman, what disturbs me is that we're getting a lot of these sustainability comments as though that will help it pass, whereas you can't have both photovoltaics and green roof on the same roof. So I'm highlighting that as a sort of something which we should be aware of. Thank you, Chairman.
It could be. They could be, as my Vice Chairman said to me just then, it could be freestanding. But they've got to do it, though, as you say.
Or perhaps the gem might be green roof on the other main house. I'm just highlighting that.
No, it's a good point to raise. Councillor Casella.
I would say or add that this isn't dissimilar to many other units that people have put in the back of their gardens all round that area. Yeah. When you walk the dogs round there, there's always people who've got new cabins in the back of their gardens and work home things, and this isn't dissimilar to any of them. It would blend in with the rest, in all honesty.
There are a lot of people who post-COVID put in these type of cabins to work instead of commuting into London and as such. And some of them do have sleeping arrangements inside them. And I share Councillor Kennedy's, it's not the most inspiring building we've ever seen. But, you know, unfortunately, the tilted balance kicks in a little bit. Councillor de Bell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can we just have a little bit more clarification on, can we have a look at the pictures again? I'm with Councillor Kennedy on this and with you. I think it's not a question always of can we, because that's a legal requirement. But sometimes I think it's a question of should we. Can we have a look at the original one? Because I think that's the one. No, the next one, you know, with the pictures of the openings so as you can see into them. That's, no, you just...
But the actual visualisation one? That one?
That's the one. So this is basically, we're going to allow them to, where these have been used for holiday lets, these are going to become permanent homes for somebody, and there's two of them. Is that what we're saying, or is
there's one.
Is that the one with the two in?
Yeah. So take away the middle part.
Yeah.
That's the new bit.
Gotcha.
So the right-hand one and the left-hand one are there now, and the middle bit is they're infilling.
I have to say.
It doesn't look... No. Put it like this, I would suggest...
I mean, it's just, is this the sort of thing that we should be encouraging? I know we can't encourage, we can't discourage, we can only do with the legalities, and I fully appreciate that. But
Not good, is it?
I've got reservations on this sort of thing altogether.
Yeah. Mr. Ashton, I'm going to call you a councillor then, didn't I?
Thank you anyway.
You know, I think, and I understand the point. I think the critical point here is that these structures already exist. These structures have been approved, and all they're doing here is infilling. If this wasn't a complete new build, point taken. But I think here we have existing structures that we've agreed are acceptable, and they're infilling them. As I say, if it was a complete new build, then it might be a different question here. But
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Councillor Kenny.
Yeah, I don't have any problems with this application. Maybe we have different aesthetic views, but I think it's a low impact on the environment. Its green roof would normally be applauded. I have a vague recollection, I couldn't give you a page number, that the photovoltaic cells would be elsewhere, would be freestanding within the property. I'm sure I read that somewhere.
I read it as well.
Yeah. So for me, I see no reason to object.
No, as Mr. Ashdown has just said, we gave planning permission for the two of them. They just put an identical one in the middle of it. So, it is up for approval. Can I have a proposer?
I'll propose it.
And Councillor Casella is the seconder. So, green if you agree, red if you don't, yellow if you abstain. Right. Can we have the scores up, please? Right. 10 are in favour, none against, and 2 abstaining. That has planning permission. Thank you very much. Now move into the next item. Is Caroline coming?
The Andrew Clark next.
Oh, Andrew Clark. Yes, it is, isn't it? Yes.
Well-oiled machine.
Come through the door, Andrew. Is he gone to go? This is item 8 on the agenda. It's DM 260373, and it's yours, Andrew.
Let's do that one. Afternoon, thank you, Chair. Afternoon, members. Yeah, this is an application at 9 Ridderford Drive, Burgess Hill. It's And as it said, states a retrospective change of use to residential garden and the proposed erection of a 1.8 metre high brick wall. So that's where it refers to the part retrospective of the change of use. The proposed element is the new brick wall, which we'll see in a moment. So the application site is a new build development and an estate built in 2025. As you'll see, the site itself is the bottom section of that red line. The land out to the red line to the right is the access onto the Cookfield Road. We're just at the northern end of Burgess Hill. The land to the north forms part of the Brookley development. Immediately to the west, you have the remains of the Burgess Hill Golf Club and the main bit of the town to the south. Looking a bit more closely, so the application seeks to change the use of that land you see sort of marked in X's there. This was a new build development. As part of when the estate was laid out, this land was left empty and contains a large blue cedar tree, which you'll see in the photos and is discussed in the officer's report. The dwelling to which it relates, 9 Ridderford Drive, is a flat above some communal garages. It was originally approved without any amenity space. Post to the completion of the development, this land was purchased and change of use took place, which now be incorporated as garden for the use of the occupiers of 9 Ridderford Drive. So that area sort of in X's is the land which now forms part of the garden. You'll see a green line at the bottom there. To delineate the land, the owner constructed a 1.8 metre high close board fence. There was a previous application which was for this development seeking to retain that fence. That was withdrawn on officer's advice on the basis of not supporting that fence. So the application now before members seeks to replace that fence with a 1.5 metre high brick wall to match the walls surrounding the remainder of the estate. And you'll see that on the photos in a moment. The purple line you'll see on the right-hand side is a 1.8 metre high close-boarded fence, which backs onto the alley, which serves or goes between the units. That is to be retained as part of this application. Just some elevations to show the proposed wall. So this is looking, the top picture looking north towards the back of the property. The wall will match in all respects that of the surrounding brick walls. It's very clear that when the wider development was approved, that there was given consideration to ensuring that outward facing means of enclosure were brick walls, high quality brick walls. A close board fencing was used solely for the internal elements of the development and so aren't readily available from public views. So the proposal here seeks to match the external appearance of the means of enclosure which was originally approved. So these are some photos showing the current situation. And so you can see the fence in front of us. That is what is to be replaced by the high wall, which you just see behind the black on the right-hand photo. The land, I'll show a couple of other photos very quickly, shows the current state at the moment. So concerns have been raised regarding the principle of the subdivision or the inclusion of this land within the garden. To be clear, that the land did not form part of the open space afforded to the development when constructed. It has no statutory sort of basis, not an area of formal open space. The application just be considered, therefore, just on the policies of the development plan, and therefore, does this inclusion cause harm to the character and appearance of the area? The officer's opinion is now that it does not. By replacing the fence with the wall, that is in keeping with the wider means of enclosure, and that space and its inclusion does not harm the character and appearance of the development. That it was, not intended to be so when everything was originally approved. It's not a consideration for the termination of this application. The other matter of consideration is the blue cedar tree. It is a very fine tree and visible from wider surrounds. It currently benefits from protection by virtue of the landscaping condition imposed on the original development protects all landscaping for a period of 5 years post the completion of the development, so would protect to at least 2030. A tree report has been submitted with the application, which has been commented on by our tree officers and supported in terms of its conclusions that the tree has already undergone quite a lot of stress and harm by virtue of the construction of the development around it, and that the change of use around that would not cause any more harm to the tree. So whilst it is noted that the tree is in the garden, there is a report in front of officers and the council, which has been verified by our tree officers that there is no harm to that tree by virtue of the change of use. It's noted obviously that the construction of a wall may require some footings, and we've put a condition on which requires that an arboriculturist is present during the course of that construction to ensure that no potential harm is done there. So we have sought to protect that tree as far as possible. In terms of any other representations, I understand comments have received regarding potential utilities under the land. Whether this is verified or not is not a matter for the planning decision. Obviously, just looking at the change of use and the impact on the character and appearance, any provision for services will be the matter for the utility providers and the landowner. So therefore, in conclusion, looking at this application as a prospective application against the policy development plan, as I'm sure members are aware, we can't look at retrospective applications any differently. We do prospective. This application were to come forward as a prospective application to enclose this land using a brick wall, then we are content that it respects the character of the area, the design integrity of the developments visually laid out, and doesn't cause harm to the tree. Therefore, the application is recommended for permission. Thank you.
Thank you. We do have a couple of speakers. Well, you're sitting there already. Right. The right-hand button you press when you start talking. Oh, sorry, you are Natalie Rowland. Thank you. You're speaking in support of this application. So when you start to speak, an electronic clock will appear on that screen, 3 minutes, and after 2.5 minutes, I will say 30 seconds. Please conclude it when I cut you out. Thank you. The right hand one, that's it. It's normally the right-hand one.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the Planning Committee. Thank you for allowing me to speak in support of this application. I would like to say that we have engaged with the officer at length on this site over some considerable period of time, and I'm grateful for his input on this application. This is a relatively modest proposal that seeks to regularise the use of a small area of land as private garden space for 9 Riddiford Drive, and to replace an unauthorised fence with a brick wall that matches similar outward-facing boundary treatments which have been approved elsewhere on the development. The key issue before members is whether this proposal causes unacceptable planning harm and therefore fails to comply with the development plan. Having considered the evidence, officers has concluded that it does not. Although the land was originally shown as informal open space on the 2021 consented development, it was not designated public open space and therefore does not benefit from any formal protection. Importantly, the wider development has retained its open character with substantial green space and landscaping around the edges. Officers have therefore concluded that the loss of this small area does not harm the character or appearance of the development. The proposal also provides a clear benefit by creating private outdoor amenity space for the occupants of number 9, who, without this proposal, would have no dedicated garden at all. This is a genuine improvement to the living conditions of that property. We acknowledge the concern about the blue cedar tree. However, our tree consultant has been able to provide an acceptable solution with regards to the construction of the wall, which the Council's tree officer does not object to. The reports conclude that the garden use and proposed wall will not result in additional harm to the tree, which remains protected through existing planting conditions. We also accept the proposed condition, which requests arboricultural supervision throughout the construction process. Concerns regarding neighbouring amenity, drainage and flooding have also been assessed. Officers have concluded that the proposal would not reach the policy test of significant harm to neighbouring residents, and would have a neutral impact on drainage and flood risk. Ultimately, the application has been assessed against the relevant planning policies of the development plan, and officers have found it compliant. And for these reasons, and because the proposal delivers benefits without causing demonstrable planning harm, I respectfully ask members to support the officer recommendation and grant planning permission.
I didn't have to say 30 seconds either. Well done. Thank you. Now we've got a district councillor who is going to be speaking. Are you speaking on behalf of Burgess Hill Town Council? So therefore you'll still be subjected to the 3 minute. This is Councillor David Eggleton, who's a town councillor as well as a district councillor.
Thank you, Chair. As always, I shall try my best to be succinct. I'm speaking on behalf of Burgess Hill Town Council's Planning Committee today. We've reviewed this retrospective application twice, and our perspective remains unchanged. This proposal represents an unacceptable loss of green space and causes clear harm to the character of the site as articulated by our residents. For us, the nature of the enclosure is secondary to our core objection. Rather, it is the act of enclosure itself that is at the heart of the issue, and I hope that's at the heart of your deliberations. Firstly, under DP26 from the district plan and the design guide DG25, open spaces within new developments are designed and intended to enhance the local environment and provide visual relief. Enclosing this land to form a private garden will strip away an integral area of open space originally envisaged and pitched as further benefit of residents. Allowing such public, de facto public amenity land to be enclosed continues to set a damaging precedent across our town. Secondly, this area is not just a patch of grass, and as you've been told, it features a prominent mature blue cedar tree classified as Category B under DM21 1524 and regarded as by the tree officer as impressive. The entirety of the plot itself was part of the tree's protection zone. While the tree officer notes the extant damage to the tree from the retrospective work, compounding this damage with further construction is not the answer. It will also introduce an ongoing risk to this natural asset, so we would appreciate the consideration of DP37 in your deliberations. And finally, as the officers highlighted, we must also highlight a major practical conflict regarding public infrastructure, as we have received clear evidence of a live gas main running beneath the plot, which I'm hoping has been shared with you by the committee's team. Building such a permanent brick boundary wall preventing access to active utilities introduces serious safety and long-term maintenance issues. The gas company simply must have unfettered access to its infrastructure. If, however, the committee is minded to approve this application, I would like to request attaching a TPO to the blue cedar so that this natural asset can be protected by the District Council in future. Thank you very much.
Seconds. You have actually raised a couple of points which I want the officer to highlight. You mentioned green open space, but I think in the report when you mentioned, you didn't say this was allocated. It was just there, wasn't it? Green open. Because I was, those of us who have been around for a while gave planning permission for this site. I think looking around, some of us have been around here for a while. So, Andrew, can you clarify, was this allocated, or was it was just there as green open space?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I suppose in your words, yes, it was just there. So obviously the scheme was designed. I can see no record of their discussions around the importance of that area. I think from our officer's point of view is that this edge of town site is quite spacious and has got a lot of green space around it. It is the officer's view that the enclosure of that space does not harm the overall character and appearance of the area. As I say, it's not a formal open space for the benefit of residents, and so from our point of view, there is plenty of open space that the development maintains and retains its spacious and fairly edge of town character and appearance, even with this being closed. Noting that this element is within. So if you saw the wider thing, the development very much looks outwards, and this is a piece of land which is sort of internal within the centre of the site.
So can you confirm, can you use your cursor where the formal open space is? I assume it's this area at the bottom here? This area here?
Yes, this is again open landscape space within the red line of the application site. I'm sure its ownership. I suppose in terms of formal space, there is no formal play space things on this development, but again, this area is landscaped and protected by the 5-year condition again, which protects the tree.
Which is under a management company, correct?
I'll be honest, I'm not aware of that, but presumably so. Presumably so. Developments of this size, that would be the normal state of affairs.
Okay, now before I go to members, I just want to clarify that we are talking about, if it had been formal, I allocated green open space, they wouldn't have sold that piece of land to the number 9 Riddiford to be form a part of a garden, because it would have been contrary to our plan permission at the time.
Well, it would certainly be potentially, and I don't want to speculate, but we would be protected by the policy development plan in respect of our formal open space now. Yes, obviously it doesn't prevent sale, but we would have a different view. So.
Okay, thank you. Right. Councillor Kenny.
Yeah, thanks. I'm still a little unclear about this.
Meaning.
Thank you for trying, but I'm going to have a follow-up question. So is there any difference whatsoever between the area with the X hatches on it, i.e. the area that we're discussing, or any of the other open space in the development? Is there any formal distinction between them at all? Because, for example, could we be discussing something on the southern border that was enclosed?
Right,
I don't think there is, but please tell me if I've got that wrong.
In short, no.
That's what I thought, because so in that regard, here's a very really simple question. There is an agreement that protects all of the landscaped areas, which we must assume would include this area, the one under discussion, as well as all the peripheral ones, for 5 years. I think that's what Andrew just said to us. All landscapes are protected for 5 years. I think that's the situation in the agreement. So I don't quite understand, how are we here? How did we arrive here?
There was 2 parts of when we gave planning permission, there were little bits. We can go over to all these estates that we've given permission for. There's little bits of green spaces in between houses, and you've got a formal open space where people can all go and enjoy. There's a river that's close to that.
And we just dealt with that. I asked the specific question, is there any difference whatsoever in the designation of the area? If someone would say to me, all of the external areas, all those where you can see the trees identified, if you could say to me, I know all that lot was designated formal open space, and this, as an exception, was not, please do tell me that. But I'm not hearing that.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'll just jump in. You know, in terms of this type of development, then, you know, when we're approving a scheme, the only formal open space that would be designated if there is a play area. Everything else is incidental open space. And this area of land that we're talking about is no different to many little areas of open space, or little open spaces that we see in other well-established older estates up and down the district, where somebody purchases that little bit of land in order to move their garden space out. You know, we have that type of application all the time, and you know, this is it's just an incidental area of open space. By moving that or erecting the wall and enclosing that area, does that have a fundamental impact on the character and appearance of the area? And in our view, no, it doesn't. That's the test that you're looking at in terms of whether there is a significant impact on the character and appearance of the area by the erection of that wall and the enclosure of that small area of land. And you know, we would say, you know, particularly given the area that's to the south of the to the bottom of the screen there, that is all open space. It's all incidental open space. That's not affected by this. What we're talking about is a small area of grass verge to the north of the access road, and there is still an element of green verge retained outside the proposed brick wall as well.
Okay, Chairman, shall I just come back and
Yeah,
then
please.
I'll be done, okay?
'Cause I think this-
So,
it needs
I'm not very,
clarifying.
not very happy with the answer, so it's not a piece of grass verge. I feel that the arguments that are coming forward are somewhat tendentious. We've established there is no material difference between this piece of land and any of the other landscaping. There is an agreement that protects all of the landscaping for 5 years. The reasons we'd have to consider them today. Someone decided to sell this plot of land. I don't believe it was ever intended. There were clear intentions for all the gardens, and all of the gardens have brick walls. There is no brick wall in this area. It was never intended this way. And having looked at the original application, maybe other members haven't seen this, but the flat, which is now using this as a garden, has no direct access to the garden. You enter that flat from the opposite side through a stairway that goes up to where the flat is. In order to access the garden, you have to come out of your front door, go through the garage, and go through a back door from the garage. Clearly, as has been stated, it was never intended as a garden area, and we've lightly glossed over the residents who formerly were overlooking a shared space that was open to them to use for play, children, whatever purposes, and now overlooking a garden, which we would hope that would help with the tree. But it's also got quite a lot of equipment in it, including a hot tub and some other stuff. I don't know how much that contributes to the health of the tree. So I tend to agree, in my current understanding, with the Town Council and their objections to this. That's what I would say.
Your question is debated here in a second.
The Chair, just wanted to clarify that regarding the 5-year protection. There is a standard landscaping condition which is imposed on hundreds of planning permissions, which states that the landscaping is retained for a period of 5 years. It's not a legal protection. It doesn't prevent the determination of planning applications to change the use or remove that or anything like that. It's what we would rely on if planting takes place and it dies. How do we get that planting replaced within a period of 5 years? And that's what's protecting the tree. It doesn't prevent the grant of planning permissions which change that landscaping. It's just got to be determined as its own planning merits.
Councillor Cherry.
Thank you, Chairman. Sorry, totally confused here. Has this space actually been purchased by the residents of Number 9? It is.
Yeah.
They have actually paid money for this. Right. That makes a bit.
That's
of
the
a
bit which confused me.
Yes, because otherwise.
Not hard.
Okay, right.
So they're putting a brick wall up on their land, basically.
Yes. So do we have any guarantees about the gas main and accessibility to that? This is a matter that was brought up by...
If the gas main is broken, I can assure you, regardless of having a brick wall there or not, the gas people will come in and they will fix it.
Yeah, will there be, is there some sort of gate or something? How do they actually get... I know at the moment they're going through their garage to access this land.
I don't know. There's no gate in that wall.
There is the side fence.
There is a side gate?
Yeah.
Right. Okay, I shall think again. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor DeBell. Oh, no, sorry, Councillor Henwood. Sorry.
Overlooking that lady.
I am overlooking that lady. I do apologise.
First of the question, area, tree protection zone area. Could I have I think that was mentioned, this blue cedar. By the way, it's not an incidental open space. There's a significant blue cedar tree in the middle. But you mentioned something about an area, a tree protection zone? I think you said, I would like to have some clarity about this particular tree and its safety. You know, I mean, it's significant, it's a significant tree in the area.
Sorry, Councillor, are you referring to in the report?
Well,
page
no, you
59.
verbally, you said something about an area, tree protection zone was established when the developers did this.
So, for clarity, so the blue cedar tree obviously predated the development. It was retained as part of that development and benefits from that 5-year landscaping condition, which benefits all the landscaping and would enable us to require a replacement were it to be felled or die. The tree report submitted with the application states that the change of use and the construction of the wall will do no further damage to the tree than has already been done by virtue of the approved development built around it. There's no tree protection zone per se. So I was like, we're content that development in front of him being considered is compliant with DP 37 because there's no further harm will be caused because of the change of use in the wall.
Okay, okay. So I am actually, when we talk about development plan, and I'm actually looking at district policy development plan, general principles for strategic development at Burgess Hill, DP7, and it says there that provide new and improved community green spaces. Okay, open space. It doesn't say it has to be protected open space. It says open space in and around Burgess Hill. It also says deliver opportunities to the delivery of green infrastructure. Well, this is green. This is a significant contribution to that particular estate, to have this green open space, incidental, whatever you want to call it, with a magnificent tree, which has now been restricted for the inhabitants that live on that small estate. I'm just referring to development plan because we often say it's not in the development plan, so I'm referring to that. And I also have to highlight DP 26, which has already been highlighted, that we protect, the district plan protects open spaces. It doesn't say designated open spaces, incidental open spaces. It says protects open spaces that contribute to the character of the area. And I would have said that that blue cedar contributes very positively to the ambience of that area, and it is very restricted now if it becomes private. Thank you, Chairman.
I've got a very significant oak tree in my front garden. It hasn't got a TPO, but everybody knows that it's one of the best looking oak trees around. I think we need to take Councillor Eggleton, point, at the very last point of his thing, request potentially a TPO to go onto this tree. That, I think, would protect the tree beyond the 5-year. I think that is something that we should consider.
I agree, Chairman. But I think we're looking at the whole picture. Yes, if we agree that this can now be subsumed into a private garden, I am saying I do not agree that it should be subsumed into a private garden. That's what I'm saying, Chairman.
That's why we're here,
Yes, thank you very much.
to make that decision. Do you still wish?
Not myself, I think somebody else has done it.
Do you wish to speak?
I'd like to, if I can, please, Chairman. Once again, I mean, various times during planning things like this, we cover can we, must we, and should we. But personally, I think on this particular one, the thing that comes to mind is why. The fact is that you've got a lovely open space that people use. Why build a wall across it? Why fence it off? What are you going to do? Build a tower on it or something like that? It seems ridiculous. And I believe that other than actually gifting it to the community, which would possibly bring benefits of their own, I can't see why one would want to fence this off and prevent people from coming together. So it might be legal, it might be possibly sustainable. Why build a wall around it, a fence around it? Why not gift it to the local community? That's my comment, Mr. Chair.
I would suggest, it makes sense, but obviously the applicant of number 9 has approached the developer and said, I'd like to buy that piece of land and make it into a garden, because I haven't got a garden. And that's what he's done.
Yeah.
And would you build, I mean, we can only do with what we've got in front of you, but would
Absolutely.
you buy?
So much more though for the community.
I know it is, but gifting
That's
it would
right.
be better.
We can only deal with legalities, I understand that.
Councillor Kennedy, you're the ward councillor. I should have gone to you first, really.
That's all right. I was quite interested to hear all the other comments of my colleagues. Can I just clarify, Andrew, perhaps? The executive summary at paragraph 2.1 says the application seeks planning permission for a change of use of existing open space to residential garden and the construction of a new boundary wall. And it then goes on to say the change of use has already taken place and the wall will in part replace a close board fence, etc. Has it taken place?
In short, yes, that's the retrospective element of the development. He's purchased it and undertaken.
So he's purchased it. So the owner of the property and this, let's call it a garden, has got the right, even if we don't grant permission, he's got the right, because he owns that property, to keep people off it. Is that right?
Well, I wouldn't want to comment on the
Well, no,
legal
no,
matters,
but I
but
mean,
it would be, it is his land.
It's his land.
Yes, yeah. What we're considering is the use of that land, yeah. Yeah, but how he chooses
it's
to do it.
frankly, as others have said, I think it's quite unfortunate that has happened. But looking at it, it is a little, well, it's not quite a square, but it's what, about 30 feet by 30 feet by 30 feet. And it looks like a garden when you visit. You look over the fence if you're tall enough, and you can see the garden as you've seen in the photographs. I mean, I certainly agree with what you've said about the TPO for the cedar. That's a must in my view. But it is a great shame that this was sold. A great shame. I mean, the other land around to the south, as it were, of the garden, if I can call it that, is land that just slopes away. It's not particularly useful amenity land. It's not where people who live in this development could sit very easily. There's no benches, there's no tables, it's just, you've got parking on one side, parking round at the back. There's actually parking by the roadside there, just in front of the place that we're discussing. It really is a great shame. I think we are where we are. And I mean, I'm very reluctant to agree to this, but it seems to be the only reasonable thing to do. Otherwise, we're going to have no permission for a fence, no permission for a wall, an open space that the guy will be protecting, no doubt, in some way.
In light of what you've just said, and I agree there should be a TPO, Mr. Ashdown's going to explain potentially how that can happen, because it has to be assessed first.
Of course.
So obviously, depending on the outcome of the application, then as part of that resolution, you can ask officers to explore and to assess whether the tree is worthy of a TPO. There is a separate process that we need to go through in terms of our tree officer to assess to see whether it is appropriate for a TPO, and if it is, then we can proceed on that basis. But certainly what I can do is, again, through the chair and vice chair, once the tree officer has made that assessment, then I can report back what the outcome of that is through you, and we can obviously give an update at the next meeting as well, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Hitchcock.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm going to take a slightly different slant on this. We have a small estate here of certain houses. Every one of those houses has an enclosed back garden. So why shouldn't this guy have an enclosed back garden? which actually seems to be outward facing. So all he's done is enclose his garden.
Yeah, of course.
I visited the site. I don't think that's quite right, Councillor Hitchcock. I think that there are a number of flats there. It's on 2 or 3 different levels. And a lot of those flats do not have gardens.
No, they don't. Normally don't. Flats do not normally have, they might have a
They don't
communal
have
garden.
Let's see what the problem is.
No, not quite. You've dropped off the list, Councillor Bates. You wish to speak?
Yeah, keep dropped off. But no, I think for a start, we should start by refusing this application because basically what we're looking at in front of us is not accurate. In particular, this wonderful tree. And it needs a TPO. So we could, you know, when you look at that, all those kisses on it, whatever you want to call it, the significant part of that plot is this tree. So that we need to resolve that matter. That application should show that plot with the tree on it, and a TPO should be put on it. Now, in Haywards Heath, we've got an interesting walled private, what you might call private accessible garden project, and it's well maintained, and a group of people meet there, and that would be suitable for a lot of flat people that live opposite or nearby to this site. So I think that it's misleading, the application, and you just got the impression that the person who's got this land, the next thing you'll be coming in and wanting to take the tree out, or probably take the tree out and then put in a retrospective application. So, you know, I think that to be fair, we need to see an application that shows that tree and a TPO is made before we go any further on this application. One of the things that interests me with sort of land like that is that we create a pocket park or site, and that would be used by the community and maintained. It would be open, but if it was closed, then fine. But, you know, I think that this should be refused on the basis that the information that we're seeing is not accurate.
If you switch it.
Yeah, I know it's not particularly clear, Councillor. It is shown on the plan. There is I'm not going to do it. Yeah, there is a dot, and then the area there is the crown of the tree. Yeah.
There's only one big tree there on that side.
See the dot? Can you see the dot amongst the crosses?
That's the dot.
That there is where the tree is.
Yeah, but it doesn't show that. But anybody, you ask anybody going, can you see that big tree in that car?
That's the tree.
Yes.
The round circle is the tree.
Well,
But we have requested.
trees for years.
We have requested, if it gets through the planning permission, for a TPO process to start. Once the process is starting, and I do think this is worthy, but I'm not a tree expert. We have experts in the council. The town council requested, should this go through, then a TPO. I would say if it doesn't go through, a TPO should still be requested, but that's my thing. But, you know, we are talking about somebody who has purchased that land quite legitimately, and he's now saying, I own that piece of land, I'd like to enclose it. But we would say there should be a TPO on that tree. Councillor Sweatman, you haven't spoken yet.
Yeah, no, I haven't yet, Chairman. I thought I'd listen to everyone else before I dived in. For a start, retrospective application, but I think we've always should look as it as a planning application.
Yeah.
Forget the retrospective bit for a start. The fact is, I've heard, I don't want to repeat what's been said, but that this gentleman who owns the flat, or whoever owns it, was able to purchase this land. So that land is his. The fact he's got a cedar tree on it is, you know, it's got that benefits from already existing condition through the planning conditions in the past. When you look at this, this is quite a small open space. And if you look at the line at the bottom where that green line is, it's virtually straight. It blends. I don't know what the right word, what I'm trying to say is. It seems a bit odd if you've got a line, it goes up like that for a little bit of green open space plonk there. But it seems very tiny. It seems, sensible to have that as, well, we've managed to buy it, to have it as a garden. I mean, all that other open space to the south there, so it's not like it's short of open space. Incidentally, I know this is a new development, but even round East Grinstead, it's surprising when you walk around through the little footpaths in some parts, there's just a very tiny patch of green grass. Tiny patch, stupid. And I looked at an application, neighbour went to this council and asked to buy it, obviously, for part of their back garden. It was refused, the district council owned it. I thought, well, we're spending all this money cutting it for just a tiny patch of grass. It seems a bit funny, but anyway, I'm digressing. It's a similar, sort of like a little patch in there that's, doesn't.
I was a portfolio holder for a long time, and we were always selling off a little bit. People come to us, the officers take a decision. Does it benefit them? Does it benefit us? There's a lot of other green space around, and we did sell off bits of land to people so they could extend their gardens. But we also equally refused it on certain occasions. Yeah. So but this is a private. This is not district-owned land.
No, this is private. Incidentally, we have a consulting, a tree officer, having no objections to this.
No.
So, do we disregard that? I mean, we can disagree with them sometimes, but...
She is a consultee. I mean, the thing is, we've had a request from the town council. Councillor Kennedy is the ward councillor. I am the chairman. And I agree that we should go down the process, unless the committee decide otherwise, of trying to get a TPO. If the tree officer decides it's not worthy of a TPO, because it's got protection, as Councillor Kennedy said, there's the 5 years, that they have to replace it if it dies. What I would like to think, if he does get his permission, he doesn't then take a chainsaw to it, well, we go down through the TPO route. So I'd like to think he would be protected in the 5 years not to do that, because you'll have to replace it.
But it's under protection
now
through planning.
Yes, it is.
So, I mean, I don't think we can actually say that this is, we've got to have a TPO. We can look at having...
But only 5 years. It's only for 5 years that condition is.
I agree going down the route asking for TPO, but it should...
But that's what I would like to think, if the committee are agreeable, that we go down. We've had the request from the town council, the ward councillor thinks it's a good idea, I think it's a good idea, and my vice chairman thinks it's a good idea. Mr. Ashdown said that they will start the process should he get planning permission. But I also like to think, even if he doesn't get planning permission, there should be a TPO on this tree. That's when I went down and had a look at it. It is, there's not many blue cedars around, and I like to think it would stay as there long after the guys moved out. Right. Everybody's spoken before, so I'm going to let people come back now. You've been shifted.
I've been shifted. I'm sorry, Mike,
you
keep
have, haven't
switching
you?
off.
I think you were at the top a few seconds ago.
Yes, I was, Chairman. Thank you very much. Well, first of all, I think it is very misleading. This is an application for change of use. Yeah. Historically, the same thing happened to a green plot near us, incidental green place. The land developers buy them up if nobody owns them, and then they sell them to the person who lives adjacent. This is exactly what happened. So the person living adjacent bought this, but we still have to give permission for it to have change of use. So do not be misled to say because it is privately owned, we can't do anything about this. And it is still under change of use, and I certainly would like to propose before we get there about reasons, policy reasons why this should be refused, Chairman, when we come to that, but perhaps other people would like to speak first.
Right. Councillor de Bell.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Just a very, very quick one. I think that possibly it could be that the owner is saying, well, I own this land, and nobody had realised, but I do own it and it has a value. Possibly a suggestion off the top of my head and totally out of the room that the occupants get together and offer something together so that they can continue to use this and the ownership is shifted and it would solve the whole problem. So that they could actually use it as a.
That's a legal issue.
Is it really?
That's not a planning issue.
Well, in that case, I certainly haven't said that.
Okay. Did you wish to speak, Councillor Kenny? Because you seem to have dropped off the list as well.
We'll keep dropping off.
At least I'm paying attention.
Yeah, right, very quickly. Just to pick up on comments that you made yourself, Chairman, when you said that for flats who don't have gardens in this plan, then their amenity lies in communal areas, just like the one that's about to be enclosed. And what we haven't spoken about any time are the letters of objection that came from the owners and dwellers in flats in the area who have bemoaned two things, both their loss of access to the area and secondly the fact that they now overlook a private garden. So I just wanted to mention that point. The reason that it was not designated as a garden is precisely that, and it was originally open space for, you know, the rest of the people who are on the site, because as has been pointed out, those areas on the edge, they do slope away. This is one of the few flat areas. Just thought I'd make that point.
They do. But he is well within his legal rights to write private out. He owns the land. He can designate who comes onto that bit of land, as any landowner does their own houses. You do not, you know, if you own your front garden, your back garden, you as I do, and as most of us do, you know, it's open. I own the land. But if he owns that bit of land, it's perfect within his rights to ban people from going onto that land.
Maybe, yeah, and maybe he would be within his rights to speak to whoever he bought the land off and understand whether when he bought it, did it or did it not have permission for it to become his garden, and whatever it was that they said to him at the time. It's interesting that the people here promoting this change are the developers, not the who sold the land. Interesting question. Maybe we should shunt this all back to the pair of them so they can have a legal row about when the sale was made, what were the rights associated with it. But really, that's not my concern. This is open space, and I don't believe it should be enclosed.
Yeah, please.
So, you know, just to try and sort of bring focus to what we're actually looking at here, and I understand all the comments that have been made, and you know, the whys and wherefores and legality of who sold what to whom and to when and what they were told is not a planning matter, and it's not something that we should be taking into account. What this boils down to is essentially, yes, there is a change of use of the land. That's one thing, but obviously, in order to facilitate that change of use of land, there's an erection of an enclosure. In this case, it's the 1.8 metre high wall that's proposed. So the nub of this is, in terms of, it essentially comes down to sort of, as we set out in the report, DP26, does the enclosure of this bit of land, does the erection of this wall and the enclosure of this land have a significant impact on the character and appearance of the area? That's the point. That's the issue. From your officer point of view, comments are set out clearly in the report that we don't believe it has a significant impact for the reasons that we set out. But that is the point, and that is the issue that you need to consider. And so I think it is just that point that you need to consider.
Yeah. Oh, Solomon, thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. I think Councillor Henwood has made the point that this is an application for a change of use.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have bought a piece of land that is currently being used as informal open space. I now want to use it as a residential garden, but I haven't got permission to use it as a residential garden. and I'm asking for permission to use it as a residential garden. Otherwise, I own it, but I can't use it as a garden. It's still an informal space. So the question is, are we giving permission, because that's the question, retrospectively, because they're already using it as a garden, are we giving permission for it to stop being used as an informal space and be used as a garden or not? And in order to implement that decision, it would have to be enclosed to be a private garden. But at the moment, it's open space. One may own open space, and you can't stop people using it because it's open space, because it's not used as a residential garden. Yeah. So that's the question. Is committee giving permission for someone who has bought open space land to be used as their private garden, change of use? That's what the application says. So it's an application for change of use of existing open space to residential garden.
Yeah. Now, before we go to your proposal, I've got one person who's not spoken, and then I'll go to Councillor Bates and Councillor Casella.
I have a large degree of sympathy with the owner of this property and this land at the moment. He obviously went to the developers and said, could I buy this land as a piece of land for a garden? And they obviously said, yes, no problem, off you go, get on and do it. Sold him the land, took the money, thank you very much. And now he's in a mess. And it's a problem of his own making to some extent. And do we help him out or not is the question.
That is the long and the short of it. We do have a lot of these type of things that normally is illegal. That part is illegal. They should have sold him or shouldn't have done. That's legal. He's complying with the law by putting a planning application in, and it's down to us to whether we agree to it or we don't agree to it. Right, I'm going to draw a line after Councillor Bates, and then we'll take Councillor Henwood's proposal. Councillor Bates.
Yeah, I'm trying to get clear in my mind about this erection of a 1.8 metre high brick wall. At the moment, it's got a timber fence. In some respect, they could have put in a planning application for a timber fence, could they not? It's been put in, but would that needed a planning application in the first place? Now, my property, I haven't got any fencing to my frontage whatsoever. And
apparently they submitted a wooden fence in the first place, and the officers said no, because they didn't want
so
a
we
wooden...
refused it on that application.
No, they didn't refuse it. It was withdrawn on the advice of the officer, and they were asked to submit something else, and they came back with the brick wall, which is more in keeping with what else is in that area.
Okay. So I appreciate that we're looking at this residential garden and the brick wall. Okay, you've explained how we've got to this point. Okay, confusion.
Right. We have a proposal from Councillor Sane.
Thank you, Chair. Well, my question is, this open space land was left out by the developers, right? So if it's connected to the present owners who voted, it's to their garden for use, why wasn't it originally connected with that house, and why this open space was left open? So my basic understanding is that the open space was left open for the communal use, for open space, to have use it and have the sort of usage for the community living there. They have bought it. I understand that they own it. They want to change it to the garden. But I think it is also for other residents' use as well. There are some points that people commented, because before they bought their houses, they thought that it was for common use of this land, and because it is the developers that actually left this open space land, and obviously for the whole community to be used.
I agree. However, and there's always a however in the world, the developer thought otherwise and sold the land to the resident at number 9 for a use of a garden. They obviously felt that they are at the time, when we gave planning permission, God knows when it came in, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, when we gave planning permission for this site,
Yeah.
I remember being in this room with planning permission. They obviously felt it surplus to the requirements and they sold the piece of land. If they hadn't sold the piece of land, we wouldn't be debating it today.
Yeah.
But we are debating it because they sold the piece of land and the man bought it in good faith, as Councillor Casella said, he's bought it in good faith. Now I want to turn it into my garden. And that's probably why he bought it in the first place. If the developer hadn't have done it,
But,
we wouldn't be having this debate.
yeah, thank you, Chair. But as I said earlier, our Councillor Eggleton also mentioned so many reasons, so many, fears as well, including the TPO on the tree. But still, there are reasons, including the gas line and so on. Obviously, but there is on the basis on those reasons that we refuse in the town council as well. So I would agree with all those points as well, including,
I think what we all, as Councillor Henwood said, this is a change of use.
Yes.
From open space to a garden. If we had real concerns, and we can't, he's bought it for that purpose. So, as we say, he can legally ban people from going into that area. Even if we refuse his application, he still can legally ban people from going on that piece of land, regardless if he's put a fence up or a brick wall. He can ban people because he actually owns it. He privately owns that piece of land. And that's the problem we've been given. It's a hospital pass that we've been given to deal with. I think that to make the best deal, and I'm going to go to Councillor Henwood's application in a minute, but I do think, regardless if it's refused or approved, a TPO should be put on this tree, or at least start the process, as Mr. Ashton said, and then he would consult with myself and my vice chairman that it's been successful or not. But if it's successful, the chances are we will get to hear about it anyway. So, Councillor Henwood, you have a proposal.
Yes, and remembering what our legal advisor has told us,
Change
it
of
is
use.
to change of use.
Yes.
So I would like to propose we refuse this application on DP 26 character, which do you want me to quote? DP 26 protects open spaces that contribute to the character of the area in particular. DP 7, which is strategic development of Burgess Hill, where it says provide new, etc., open space in around Burgess Hill, also provide delivery of green infrastructure, which this is green infrastructure. Also, design guide DG 25, which is really quite explicit, enhance the environment and sense of place through open space. So I would like to propose that we refuse this application for change of use.
But you are aware that he actually owns the land?
Chairman, we had this same thing happen. It was his opportunity. He took a chance, she or she took a chance to buy the
All right,
land.
fair enough. Have you got a seconder?
I don't know. Thank you. Councillor Cherry.
Okay, so we have a proposal. Hang on a second before we go there.
Sorry, no, I'm just trying to clarify here. So I get the point in terms of, the change of use of the land. Are members concerned about the erection of the wall? Because you haven't mentioned, you're talking about the change of use of the land, the erection of the wall. Where are you standing on that? Because that's part of the application.
That's what it gets paid to do.
It is the point, yeah, the whole thing is about the brick wall.
I have a view.
Yeah, Councillor Kenny?
Yeah, I have a view about the wall. I find it hard to believe that erecting wall with footings is not likely to cause some damage, but I understand the clause that says it will be carefully overlooked. The only reason that the wall is in, as we know, the original application was just to stick with the close board fencing, was about style. It seemed to me that that was a sop to try to make the thing more acceptable, but which in and of itself has a potential for harm to the tree, because I can't believe that a set of posts is less intrusive on the root system than actually a trench to. But as I say, I know that there is a report that says it will be overlooked, but that's my view about when it comes to the wall. It's, if anything, an aggravating factor, in my view.
Okay, we have a proposal and we have a seconder. For the reasons that Councillor Henwood is, hang on a second.
Sorry,
Are you happy with the wall? That's the thing.
So, again, but I'll paraphrase and tell me if I'm wrong, and I'm not trying to put words in anybody's mouth here. So the concern is about the change of use of the land and the wall, and the impact that has on the character and appearance of the area.
Correct.
In respect of DP 26.
Will there be any necessity for any wall if it is no longer deemed to be, if it's change of use to open space?
He can put a wall in.
Well, the wall is part of the application, so we need to express a view about the wall and the impact of the wall. So
I accept what you said.
Again, and I get the point about Councillor Kenny's potential impact on the tree. We don't have any evidence to suggest that. If a reasonable position, because again, from an officer point of view, we have to advise in terms of defence at an appeal.
Exactly.
And the best case that we can make is in relation to the change of use and the erection of the wall and the impact that has on the character and appearance of the area, contrary to DP 26.
Thank you.
I wouldn't go further than doing your others. The other two reasons.
Oh, I think design guide was quite significant. Design guide 25 is quite significant. Enhance the environment and sense of place through open spaces.
That's guidance, so that's not an issue. The policy that we're determined against is DP 26. So that can be added. That's not. I haven't got a problem with the design guide, but I wouldn't want DP 7 because that's for strategic development as a whole. What we're looking at here is a specific application under DP 26.
Thank you.
Unless it's a new point, I'd like to take the vote.
The whole point of this discussion, a lot of the discussion, has been about the TPO. And the whole point is we're not even making any mention at this stage that an application should have come forward showing that a TPO would be requested for that tree. That would then clear up all the issues about whether it's a garden and a walled, etc.
No.
But the main thing we need to get is a TPO on that tree.
That's what we're going to do, regardless if it's a pass or a fail. If it's approved or refused, we're going to start the process of a TPO. So once you start the process, then it has to go through, the tree officer will go down there, assess the tree, whether it is worthy of a TPO. Then the recommendation will be a TPO will be made. Whether it comes in front of our committee or not, because it's a made TPO as opposed to some work done to it, it will then come to us with the view of, do we confirm a TPO like we did 2 months ago? Yeah. 2 months ago, we did the 2 oak trees. We agreed those 2 oak trees should have had a TPO, and we did. So it will no doubt come back to the committee at some point saying, yes, it's got a TPO, or no, it hasn't got a TPO. So that's what we'll do. It's the request from this committee that we start that process of the TPO. I've got that one right?
So again, I'm sure Solomon will be able to advise from a legal point of view, but I'm assuming that the committee request for us to explore the possibility of a TPO in the tree is part of the resolution that you're taking a vote on.
Yeah. Yes. Do you want to add that to yours? DP 26 and a TPO?
And a TPO, investigation.
Investigation, that's how it is. Right, so we've got a proposal, we've got a second. Oh, Councillor Casella, new point?
A new point, can Solomon just confirm something to me? This gentleman owns the land.
Yes.
At the moment, it's an open space, or it's designated as an open space, but he wants to convert it, change of use into a garden. If he doesn't get the change of use, he is still entitled to fence that land off because he owns it and stop anybody else using it. Is that correct?
Through you, Chair. Yes, that is correct, but, and this is why it's here for change of use, but we can't use it as a garden. I mean, what would you do with your garden? You could put a shed in it, you could plant flowers in it, you could put a granddad flat in it, you know.
We can say you can't use it as a garden, but you can still fence it off.
Yes.
And not use it as a garden.
Yep.
Yes.
It's still fenced off.
Yeah.
Because you can stop other people using it. So this is arguments going around in circles.
It's his right, he owns the land, it's his right to ban anybody from going onto that piece of land. Whether we give the change of use as a garden or not.
It makes no difference. The land can still be fenced off. It's not a line.
Yeah, that's why we got a proposal for the change of use and the now whether you support Councillor Henwood's. You and me both, I'm getting hungry. Councillor Basher.
Yeah, Chair, I just wanted to say, I mean, over the experience owning a business for the last 20 years, we've got High Street here. We have application from the landlord, change of use. So all I can say here, simply someone got a premises, whether it's empty or whatever, applied for a change of use, yeah? Somehow, wherever, however, he have to block this in, whether it was a wooden fence or a brick wall, yeah? So I think we just keep going on and on. As our solicitor has advised us, he applied for a change of use.
Yeah.
Simple. Now we have to wait until what he wants to do. Whether he wants to put a shed on, if you have to make an application, that's his problem. If he wants to build a house, he has to come back.
Well, no, you've got a gas main under, you wouldn't be doing that.
No, what I'm saying, I'm just giving an example. So it's just simple use of change of use.
That's what it is, that's what we're going to vote on.
This is what we do in High Street every day and day out.
Yeah.
We have landlords. They have a tenant coming in, interested to do this, do that.
Yeah.
They say, okay.
Yeah.
Simple. Somebody bought land, that's fine. He's entitled, he's right. He has to protect it.
He's put an application in, we are going to vote on whether we agree with his application or not. But whatever happens, we do want a TPO put on this.
Yeah, that's the second what we need, yes. Yeah, but first of all, we have to look at it. He applied for change of use. He wants to protect his area. He bought it, he spent money on it, he
So
paid
what you're
for
voting
it.
for.
That's his.
Yeah, correct. Now, what you're voting for now is the proposal from Councillor Henwood that we refuse his change of use. But he can still put a fence up. I know, it's ridiculous.
It's just something small.
An hour on a fence.
I just want clarification on one point about ownership of land. Because if you own some land, because I had this with a property once, our front gardens, obviously our land, we were not allowed to put any fence around it.
Oh, yeah.
It was in the covenants
Yeah.
that you were not
Under the
allowed
plan,
to
yeah.
fence it in.
There was
It
no covenants here.
So I just wanted to establish that there are no covenants.
Because
this.
in Copthorne particularly, there are so many covenants on people who own the land, and I can get your house, you ain't allowed to put a fence around it. And that's
Yes.
and yours, I'm allowed to.
Yeah, I am, and that's
Yeah.
what's it, right.
Just to be clear, covenants aren't planning issues.
No, they're
So
not.
regardless
No.
of whether they are, they're
I
not
knew
a
you were
matter
gonna
for
say
us to
that.
consider.
Right, can we make a vote now, please? So the vote is to refuse the application, because that's what councillor,
DP 26.
Under TP 26. Wording to be agreed, yeah. Now, green if you agree with councillor Henwood, and red if you don't agree with councillor Henwood. That's basically it. There's more than 10 of us, isn't there? Yeah, one's not voted. Who's not voted? Who's a coward and not voted? Please tell me it's not me. Have you got, has everybody got grey bits either side of? Councillor saying you're not voted yet.
Sir, I did.
Right. That motion has failed. So that motion has failed. So we now go back to the substantive motion, i.e. what the recommendation is. I need a proposer.
I'll propose it.
Councillor Hitchcock, a seconder, Councillor Sweatman. So can you clear the... You're now voting for what the original application we had, whether you agree with the change of use and this brick wall. One more to vote.
Sorry, I'm a bit unclear, I'm sorry, Chairman. So we're now voting for...
The original recommendation, which is to approve the change of use.
Right.
Right. And explore the possibility. 6-6, how can we have 6-6? There's only 11 of us. Can you clear the vote and do it again, please? We've got councillor, somebody else's. It is, isn't it? Come on, let's be serious. We are a very good planning committee. Right. You are voting for the original recommendation for the change of use and this, and the brick wall. There should be 11 votes.
No, there's 12.
We have got 12. Right, we have got 6-6. I'm using my casting vote. I approve the recommendation, as per the recommendation, subject to the starting the process of the TPO. Okay? Agreed. Thank you very much. Don't bring any more walls, please. Yeah. David, you got your TPO, if nothing else. You certainly. Does it? You want some water, beer, please?
Can we do this one in 10 minutes?
Yes. Because it's, right. This is recommended for refusal. Recommended for refusal. Item 9 is DM 252720, Kilnwood Apartments, Rocky Lane, Haywards Heath. Caroline, this is yours. Please. Hope it's a bit more simple than the last one.
This application seeks planning permission for the erection of 6 apartments within a single 3-storey building. I would draw members' attention to the update sheet. 4 additional letters of support have been received and the matters raised are summarised on the sheet for reference. The application relates to an area of land to the west of Kilnwood Apartments. To the south of the site is the A272, west is the London to Brighton railway line, and to the north is the old Rocky Lane alignment with a cluster of dwellings opposite. The site slopes to the south-southwest. Trees situated along the northern boundary. To the rest of the site, those are protected by a tree preservation order. The site is within the built-up area of Haywards Heath as defined by the Mid-Sussex District Plan. The proposal under consideration follows two previous applications for a block of flats to the west of the existing buildings, which would contain previously 9 apartments. These applications were refused, as set out within the committee report, and the second was also dismissed at appeal. Whilst it is acknowledged that changes have been made to the proposal from the previous applications, it's considered that there are similarities between these previous schemes and the application under consideration. It remains the case that the new block of apartments is to be situated in an area of landscaping for Kilnwood Apartments. This plan is from the Reserved Matters application showing the approved landscaping arrangement for the original flats. As set out in paragraph 12.32 of the committee report, the inspector considered that the existing built form sits comfortably on its plot behind proportioned landscaped areas. It's therefore considered that the development would still inappropriately intrude into this landscape. The scheme again seeks to replicate the design of the existing buildings, again comprising three stories, and would be of a similar height to the previous applications and neighbouring buildings. The site plan shows the latest position of the apartment block in relation to the wider site and the previous applications. Members' attention here to this orange line that's shown at the front. This was the position of the first application that was submitted and determined. This blue line shows the second scheme, which was the scheme that was considered at appeal, and then this block here is the current scheme under application, and it's set further back into the site. It is smaller than the previous schemes, but it is now closer to the western boundary. This is not considered to be reflective of the existing arrangement, where there are larger buffers between the edges of the buildings and the edge of the site. Changes have also been made during the course of the application to take into account comments from Network Rail. This has resulted in the building footprint being amended here to follow the line of the site. It is also the view remains that the site is positioned in a prominent location due to the topography of the wider area. The assessment in relation to design and the character of the area is set out from paragraph 12.34 of the committee report, concluding that the development would still have a harmful impact on the character of the area and would also have a cramped and contrived layout. Objection has also been raised by the Council's tree officer as set out in the report, including in relation to landscaping and the proximity of the building to trees. Harm has also been identified to the amenities of future residents, those on the ground floor flats. This is due to the proximity of bedroom windows here to the landscaping, which is positioned here, and this bedroom here to the 2 parking spaces. The full assessment is set out in the committee report under the amenity section. The slide shows the proposed floor plans in more detail, with 2 2-bedroom flats on each floor. No on-site affordable housing is proposed under the latest development. However, it has been agreed for a commuter sum to be provided, as set out in paragraph 12.72 of the committee report. This slide shows illustrations provided as part of the application for context, showing the South and North Street scene elevations. This slide shows a range of photographs that were taken, with the top left showing the view within the site. The middle photograph shows changing land levels when travelling into Haywoods Heath, with the site being at a higher level here. And the remaining photographs show a wider context. For example, this photograph shows the housing on the other side of the road, which is at a lower level, and how the existing apartment blocks sit within the current landscaping, for example, around here, and as well as the wider surrounding area. As set in within the planning balance and conclusion of the committee report, the application needs to be assessed in accordance with the development plan, and conflicts with policies have been identified. However, the council is currently unable to demonstrate a 5-year supply of deliverable housing sites, and the tilted balance therefore applies. Weighing in favour of the scheme is the provision of 6 houses in a sustainable location within the built-up area. Infrastructure contributions are to be provided, and there would be some limited employment benefits. There would also be a positive benefit through a net gain of biodiversity. Whilst concerns have been raised by local residents in terms of highway safety, no objections have been raised by the Highways Authority. There would also be a neutral impact on a number of issues, including drainage and sustainability, and no significant impact has been identified on the Ashdown Forest. However, harms have been identified regarding the impact the development would have on the character of the area, the loss of agreed landscaping, and the harmful layout of the scheme, as well as in relation to the impact on future residents' amenity. In weighing up these issues, when taken together, it's considered that the adverse impacts of the development would significantly and demonstrably outweigh the benefits of the proposal. Overall, the proposal is in conflict with the development plan, and the planning balance is considered to fall in favour of refusing planning permission. It's therefore Offerman recommendation that planning permission should be refused. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Caroline. We do have a speaker, well known to us. Oh, he's sitting there in the position already. Peter Rainier, you've got 3 minutes.
Sorry, before I start, can I just make a point about the second slide that was shown? It was shown last time. It shouldn't have been really shown because it doesn't show what the situation is today. There's not a huge area of landscaping between the block and the railway line. It's a car park. So that really should be clarified by officers before I start.
Yeah.
First slide, second slide.
So could we just put up the...
Yeah, the one that showed this one here.
It's nothing like it is today. The road carries on and there's car parking. All of that area is car parking.
Yeah. Yeah, oh, we're not going to have a look. Okay, thank you. Do you want to start your 3 minutes there, Mr.
Thank
Rainier?
you. Yes. I am genuinely surprised that this application is before you with a recommendation of refusal. It's a modest, sustainable windfall housing scheme within the built-up area of Haywards Heath. It's not an edge of settlement proposal, it's not a countryside proposal. Haywards Heath is a Category 1 settlement with a comprehensive range of services, existing access is to be used, and there's an existing parking area. The design, the form and materials are deliberately following Kilnwood Apartments, which are themselves identified in the council's own design guide as an example of high-quality architecture. The site's surrounded by residential development, major infrastructure, including Rocky Lane, Old Rocky Lane, and the railway line. It's an unused piece of the site in a sustainable urban location. It's also very important to distinguish this application from the dismissed appeal scheme, which was for 9 apartments. This is for 6, and it's set 14 metres back from the previous scheme. As a result, the current building would not cause the same impacts. It is smaller, more discreet, and materially different. The landscaping position has also changed. Existing trees to the north and west would be retained, and the submitted arboricultural material confirms no trees would be affected. New planting is proposed to the south and west, including a full landscaping scheme along the southern side of the site. It also delivers biodiversity net gain of 16%. The policy balance strongly supports approval. The council's housing land supply, you're well aware of, means that paragraph 11D of the NPPF is therefore engaged. Permission should therefore be granted unless the adverse impacts would significantly and demonstrably outweigh the benefits. This proposal makes sufficient use of land within the town boundary and on partly brownfield land and should be acceptable. The benefits are clear. 6 small homes in an area where large houses are common, a deliverable scheme for much needed housing in the short term by a local developer using local trades. It has policy compliant cycle and car parking and also a substantial affordable housing contribution. With respect, the officer's conclusions should not be accepted. The report gives insufficient weight to the tilted balance and the council's housing land supply shortfall. It relies on contested and subjective harm to the character of the area, despite expert landscape evidence concluding there would be no harmful effect on the street scene or longer views towards the South Downs. It also treats the application as if it was similar to the 9-unit scheme when it's plainly smaller and set further back. Members will be aware that the council is currently promoting through the local plan allocations of new housing on greenfield sites, including rural areas and land within the national landscape, and others on the edge of Haywards Heath, further to the south and west of this site.
Can you conclude in one sentence, please?
Certainly. This application is just the type of small, sustainable, deliverable housing which the planning system should support. The Town Council also objected previously, but now supports the application.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rainier. Members, I should go to the ward councillor, Councillor Bates.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I've lived with this application for a long time, or the site, and it's certainly a monumental feature for Hayward Heath and probably Mid-Sussex. I mean, it's very dominant and people see it. You can make your own conclusions about the architectural elements, but I believe these were built as an initiative by the government for better or cheaper, low-cost building, and that's what we've got today. Now, originally, I believe there were 5 blocks proposed. We've ended up, in recent years, agreeing 30 flats on 3 properties, which we can see illustrated. And you wonder what the original proposal was going to be for five blocks and how many flats. That's history. The one thing I noted on the presentation is the spacing between the 3 blocks that are built are different. They're wider, further apart than the one that's now being proposed. I'm really not clear as to why the council are maintaining their objection to this application. It's justified, I believe, but I'll go along with the recommendation for further refusal, but I think we're on very thin ground. You know, basically that I have been to the site, I've discussed it with residents, parking is an issue. Looking at that slide at the moment, I would have thought that the position of the proposed development is in the wrong position anyway. So I'll leave it to other members to make a discussion, but we're going to have another similar block, and you know, I think a lot of us, most of us, have driven up off the Relief Road from Hayward Heath, coming into Hayward Heath. It is, you see it, it's very dominant. And they're asking for another block in front of the 3 blocks. It's very judgmental as to the impact it would have. But, I mean, what really concerns me is also is the last minute, 11th hour of this support. All of these people supporting, we don't know who they are. That has come in, flooded into the committee as we walked in. So, I mean, I'll leave it to other members, but I think we're on very thin ground, to be honest with you.
It is a difficult one to square the circle on this one. I'm going with what the tree officer said, and she's got quite a substantial objection. Gone beyond a remit, I would have thought. Loss of parking will be placed further pressure on the landscape areas. I won't read it all out, but there is real concern that it could have effect on the trees. The reason that block of flats never came in the first place, if I got this one right, was because the conditions to get the 3 flats, they had to have open space around because I think you might have given permission for this one. Because I certainly didn't, but I'm actually going to support the officers on this one. Councillor Sweatman, as I just referenced you.
Yes, as Chairman, I seem to remember this coming to the committee on the same one you was on, and we looked at it.
When the last time? Yeah.
Yeah, when it's for the blocks of flats there, and it was all about to do with the landscaping and the idea there was a drainage issue as well, but I can't remember.
I can't remember the drainage, but I know it was landscaping.
But it was all to do with the landscaping and the layout, and it was to do with softening the impact, because wasn't it on a bit of a hill or something there in the rocky lane? Yeah, so it's all to do with softening the impact on that, specifically for the landscaping.
That was the primary reason, and the conditions of the other 3 flats, that they had to have open space and around it, and this is going to take it away. And that's, you know, you could argue by doing that, you're in breach of the conditions
of the other 3 flats, but they have gone to commit, they did go to appeal, not the first one, but the second one, which you and I did make that decision. And the inspector agreed with our decision and the officer's recommendation. I can't see a whole lot changed, to be perfectly honest, other than the fact that they moved it and shrunk the numbers down by 3. But I still think it's moved it towards the trees, which is, but I can see Councillor Henwood.
I have a question. 2.9. What
page, please?
2.9, page 75. The comment says, whilst landscaping has been proposed, it cannot be guaranteed to remain in perpetuity. I don't understand. There are concerns that there will be few. I don't understand, if you have landscaping that's been agreed to an application, why doesn't it remain in perpetuity?
Well, that's what the original one, because when the original 3 were given planning permission, that was landscape. Now the developer is saying, "Oh, we'll rip that one up."
Okay.
You were the officer, weren't you?
I was the case, so we won't go over the history, but in terms of your point, in terms of perpetuity, this goes back to the issue we were discussing on the last one, in terms of the 5-year. In terms of landscaping, our standard condition secures it for 5 years. In terms of if it dies, we can get replanting. Past that,
After 5 years?
we can't, if planting is removed, planting is removed. If there's a change of use of the land, that's different, but if planting is removed after 5 years, we can't require its replanting.
Thank you.
Okay. I found myself in a bit of a quandary because I want to get a 5-year land supply, and this would go towards it. However, you can't rip up the land, as they say. Councillor Kenny.
Yeah, I find myself in my usual discordant position. So I'm going to say that I'm in favour of this development and I would reject the officer's proposal. I was very pleased to see that the officer's report said it was a finely balanced matter. And I think the benefits clearly outweigh the harms. I kind of agree with the public speaker that many of the objections were kind of subjective about things might be possibilities. Really, this is exactly the sort of housing we need. We don't need any more 4-bedroom houses like the one we approved earlier. We need more of these sort of 2-bedroom houses. So I think it exactly fits the need in the town, and I think the benefits outweigh the harm. That was enhanced. I mean, I know the area. I've been around it many times, canvassing. I visited it on this occasion. I do think it's a very dramatic development, but it looks like one that is quite successful for the residents, and I don't think that this extra block is going to change very materially, being at one end, the amenity for the rest of the residents. So my gut feeling is that I think we should go against the officer's recommendation, and I'm pleased that they know it's a finely balanced thing. I think we need the housing.
I'm just being consistent with what we did last time, that's all. But I agree, it is very, very finely balanced. You could flick a coin and come down one way or the other on this one. Councillor Kennedy.
Well, I agree with Councillor Kenny, actually. I think that it is finely balanced, and it's very difficult to say that the benefits don't significantly demonstrably outweigh the harm. I think that this is just the sort of development that we need. It is slimmed down from what it was. In the previous application, it was rejected. And I can understand that. I don't think the issue about the spacing between the blocks applies so much to this one, because it is right on the very end. And it seems that the railway and other issues have been accommodated. It is difficult. It's, I can see why it might be refused, but I can see the benefits. And I think the tilted balance particularly makes me want to support this application. It's just the sort of development that we need. And as we've heard, we often give permission for housing estates and developments of 3- and 4-bedroom houses, but this is the sort of housing that we need. So I'm in favour, I think.
Okay, I'm actually
With
very...
respect, of course, to the officers.
Yeah, I'm very pleased that we have a tilted, a finely balanced report in front of us.
Yeah.
And if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And that's what the finely balanced part of it is. But I've got no other speakers. I have a recommendation to refuse. Can I have a proposer, please? Yep. Councillor Hitchcock, can I have a seconder? Did you say you were going to support it or support the recommendation or refuse? Because I'd like to go, I've got Councillor Henwood, who's put her hand up.
I'm not supporting the refusal.
Yeah, the officer's recommendation. Yeah, so we've got a proposer and a seconder to refuse. Green if you agree with the proposal, red if you don't, and yellow if you're going to abstain. One more. That's it. I've got, oh no, one more.
You still won't. The screen doesn't want to.
Let Alfred have a go. Oh, it has happened now. It has happened. Yep, okay, so can you put up the thing? So 7-2 refuse, 3-2 go against the officer's recommendation, 1 has abstained. That has been refused. Thank you very much. Right, we're moving on to item 9, which is questions pursuant to Council Procedure Rule 10.2. Do you know which has been given? I will have none. I close the meeting at 6:21. Can you remain in your seats? I do have an announcement to make after the live feed is closed. Right, our next meeting is on the 10th of September.